Hey, everybody, welcome back to Unsealed, official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Pastor Christopher Manta is me. Yes, I really am a pastor. In fact, I'm going to upload my credentials shortly to prove it to the world. But anyway, it's not important. Welcome, y'all. Please say hello. Who are you? What is your comment or question or whatever you want to say to participate today? I welcome that. Please go ahead and do that. And sharing on YouTube and X is the best thing you can do. Please do so. And love you for doing that in advance. Thank you so much. You can reach me at Manti4, MANTEI4 on the X platform. Greetings, fellow human. Bondservant, what's up, sister? Thank you for checking in as usual. As every time, it seems. Yeah, so tell us what's going on in your world, and please talk about this. And sometimes if you follow Wings of the Eagle channel, you're going to see different things. You're gonna get different input on different subjects, like we say at the in the little intro video right there: eschatology, the unseen realm, Israel, all that stuff. We're going to touch on all of that. Bible study, you name it, it's just going to happen. And if you don't like it, tough. Last night we had an impromptu preaching session on Isaiah 44. Just because the Lord led me to do it, so we did it. And today we're going to talk about UFOs. You don't like it? Too bad. Because it's important. I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it was important or I didn't think the Lord was leading me to do it. Because it's important. Okay? Right on. So, real UFOs are not ours. By the way, you can see at the bottom of your screen, if you're watching this, to become a member now on YouTube or X. That's a way to support simply, cheaply what we're doing. You can also give whatever you want it. wingsoftheeagle.com/support unsealed, whatever. Okay. Anyways, we have a course, by the way, as well. Full Bible course. It has almost no students in it. But there's an excellent review on the blog at Wings of the Eagle that you can read from a student that has gone through it and highly recommends it. The course is Angels, Demons, and UFOs. It's all about what the Bible actually says about angels and demons and the UFO topic. I think it's very good. I think you'll think it's very good and helpful to see what God actually says about these things and not make any more assumptions, because that's bad. All right, so there's a little hubbub, flutter nutter going on at this present time. But basically, it's just bring up the same old, not same old, but it is. It's kind of the same old suggestion that's been going on forever around this topic, which is if you see UFOs, it must mean it's just secret government technology. Usually that means Americans, because Americans are full of themselves, and we're obviously always have the best stuff, and it's got to be us. Hubris. But sometimes it's Russia, the thought is. Sometimes it's Russia, and nowadays it's China, because they're getting very advanced. China has never been very advanced, up until very recently, by the way. And Russia, it's debatable. They have a lot of talk and a lot of big things and a lot of numbers of things, but in fact, what they can actually do with these supposed technologies has been garbage up till now. Garbage. So I'm not convinced that they would have any such things either. And there's no evidence that they do. There's no evidence that China does. No evidence that we do, by the way. That's what I'm trying to say. But yet it happens over and over and over that it must be us, because it's very uncomfortable to admit the alternative. And no, the alternative doesn't mean aliens. I can't tell you how sick I am of that. Everywhere you turn, if you bother to say, "Hey, Madam Rex, bless you," if you bother to broach this topic at all and bother to say that this UAPs or UFOs are real and they're not modern humans, if there's another explanation, regardless of what that ends up being, there's many options, really, if you put your brain to it. But all people hear is aliens when you say that. That's so dumb. I'm sorry, I'm sick of it. I'm done with it. Come on. That's so small-minded. But I'm not saying that's not ultimately going to be the case. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that's a really small-minded, immature reaction. And frankly, that's part of the, you could call it a psyop. It's an operation where the ridicule is built in to say, oh, you're talking about aliens, you're dumb. Right? I don't personally believe that, by the way. Anyone who's listening, I don't personally believe UFOs are aliens. I don't. But that, because I don't believe the evidence shows us that. That's why. It's not because I have a pre-existing belief or disbelief, or I make some kind of assumption based on my Christian faith, which a lot of Christians do and are doing right now, watching this. Hopefully many are. Don't make assumptions, my brother or sister in Christ. Stop it. Read your darn Bible. Don't assume anything, and use your brain. So it could be many things, but also doesn't mean it's us. The last kind of refuge of denial is it's secret tech. And that's a really good one, because nowadays, 2025, you can just throw that out there and it's obviously secret stuff. Yeah, secret things that we'll never know about. And obviously the government lies. So obviously that's what it is. Obviously. Because we're so good at lying and keeping secrets and having, unconstitutional everything in this country, hiding stuff from Congress and all that stuff. It's just assumed that that's what we're doing. And it's fine. There's nothing you can do about it, or nobody cares enough to do anything about it. So, well, that's obviously what it is. Next question. First of all, I would say most people who say that have never seen a UFO before, have never interacted with any such things. Because if you did, you might think different. Probably would. You probably would think different. And again, this is like, well, yeah, there's crazy stuff going on, and man, these things are shaped weird. They don't look like airplanes, and or they don't look like regular things that are supposed to move in that way. And how does that do that? And man, that's way faster than anything that we have and ever by like a lot. And how does it go through to the air, to the space, out in outer space, to our air, to the ocean, by the way, in like 2 seconds and not blow up? And how does that all happen? And we've seen all of that. And by the way, to solid objects as well. Whoops. Things going to solid objects and not exploding. You have to admit all that's real when you see it. You don't have to. You can deny it at first. You can say that's an illusion. I'm making that up. Somebody else is making it up. That's obviously a trick of the moon, the sun, swamp gas, Venus, temperature inversions. All this stuff has been put out there before. Balloons, seagulls, on down the line. Until you press past all that, it's like, no. Even MUFON told me, I made a report last year where I saw a silver sphere in the sky, like thousands of other people have, and videos galore all over the internet. You can see them for yourself. It's not controversial. I saw one. It just hung there, and then it wasn't there. And MUFON guy told me on the phone it was probably an airplane. I'm like, dude, I didn't say this to his, at the time because I wanted to be nice. But what are you talking about? What kind of moron do you think I am? I really like airplanes. I wanted to be in the Air Force when I was a kid. I grew up around airplanes my whole life. My father really loved them. We went to air shows. I grew up around airports, like literally all the time. Airplanes are flying around me. I know a darn airplane. But anyway, that's the type of thing you're up against, right? But then the real thing comes, and the only thing you're left with is, well, it's either our stuff or I don't want to think about it. And the I don't want to think about it is either some kind of what the Christian or the Western spiritual mind would turn into demonic or supernatural things, whatever that means, or some kind of spiritual realm, unseen realm. Okay, fine, unseen realm. We know that's real. That's Bible. Fine. Something from there, because it wasn't there and now it is there, and it's behaving in a way that's unnatural to us. We perceive that it's unnatural or supernatural. And then it disappears or what have you. We can't explain it any other way other than it must be supernatural. It must be from God or the enemy, the devil, or one of those, armies. And that's pretty much all we've got. Or, well, it must be some other form of life from another planet, because we can't do that stuff. It must be non-humans piloting, their spaceships. And that's how they can go so far through the universe, is because they have the ability to warp space and time. And that's why they can do all these crazy maneuvers and go so fast, and et cetera, et cetera. Must be alien life. Fine and dandy. On those things are both possible, but where does the evidence lead? And you have the usual answers of people who don't want to talk about it, and there's an investment in people who want to keep the secret, obviously referring to these things as explainable or secret technology or black programs or Lockheed Martin, contractors building secret stuff, and we could never know, and that's why you're seeing these crazy things. But then when you do engage it and you're a professional and you're actually in the defense game, right? If you're actually in the armed forces, if you're actually flying multi-million-dollar airplanes, if you're actually recording these things on your devices, on your cameras, you're recording them on your super secret infrareds and radar systems and all this stuff and your eyeballs, and then you're chasing it in your vehicle and all that. That's another level. Okay, that's not somebody seeing something and not knowing how to explain it. That's another level. Von Servant has a comment before I proceed. She says, we also have a fast food mindset. That's true. We want answers now or forget about it. Yeah, that's right. For many, it's just too hard to think about. It's about comfort, I suppose. Oh, probably. We definitely want it now. Darn it. It's like Veruca Salt, right? I want it now. And I want all the proof right now, too. Well, there's an active cover-up going on. It's like the Epstein stuff. Everyone wants to get to the bottom of it, but if there's an active group or part of the government that, for whatever reason, good intentions or bad, can't imagine really the good ones, but for their own reasons, they are keeping things a secret, then there's a conflict. It's not as simple as show us all the evidence, because someone's actively trying to conceal it. And in this case, there's the UFO case. Whoever is behind the technology, these UFOs or the UAPs that we're witnessing and recording and documenting for decade upon decade, not one time in 2004, let's say, or mystery drones last year, that are not from China, by the way. Lost my train of thought there. Anyways, okay, it'll come back. Right, the people covering up. Right, so if there's an actual with the UFO topic, if whoever's controlling them behind these things may be part of the covering up. Right? Think about that. Like maybe they, whoever they are, don't want the global population to know what they're doing. Or they don't want the truth to come out. They don't want the facts known. Or they want a limited amount of things known, and they're in control of that. They're disclosing at their pace. That's possible. That's very possible, actually. And that very well might be what we're seeing. Although I have a feeling that the technologically we are inventing now. We're rapidly increasing our modern abilities through technologies, all kind of be able to see like the cameras and radars and all the way through AI and machine learning, things like that, to begin to figure out and to actually see these things that we possibly haven't been able to before, but now we can, or to discern them, or to to realize that they're there when we didn't know before. Now, thanks to the technology that we've attained or grown into or developed, that now we can see, and maybe that's distressing the others, and that's moving things along, and maybe they're getting nervous and stuff like that. So there's that whole dynamic. But the point is, it's a really lazy opinion, because it means you haven't looked into it, that these UFOs that you're seeing, mystery drones or TicTacs, etc., are human inventions, modern human inventions, modern humans. There's no evidence of it. None. Nothing. I don't care who says what. I don't care if they're believers, non-believers, scientists, government officials, or what. There's no evidence of it. Even the anti-UFO people say it all the time. Like, oh, show me the evidence. All I hear are stories and statements. More he said, she said. Okay, let's stick with that then. No more he said, she said. Show me the money. Okay, show me the evidence. Show me the evidence that the TicTac is from Lockheed Martin. There's none. Zero. Zip. And it makes no sense. Okay, why do I say that? First, okay, so Ross, I just want to bring this up because it's on my mind to talk about. And please, everyone, chime in. I want to hear your thoughts as well. I really do. I don't care what you think. I don't care who you are. Truly. Before I do that, Elijah Rock says, "What's up? Hey, Pastor. Wondered if there is a regular schedule for this channel, or is it random? It's random, baby. For Wings of the Eagle, I mean, we got church on Mondays, every other Monday now. Other than that, the podcasting, I try to do it on Thursdays, and I try to do it in the morning, late morning like this. That's about as good as you can get. Okay. Occasionally we have Q&A times on Fridays, and that used to be more regular, but then folks weren't really participating. So if there's no demand, I'm not going to do it. Okay. So, right. But if there is demand for things, then we'll consider it. We'll carve out the time, serve the people. Right. All right. So on to this. If you don't know who Ross Coulthard is, look him up. I don't have time for that today. He's a respected in the UFO world. Anyways, he's a old school investigative journalist. Okay, God, we need people like this again. in every realm, like Catherine Herridge, or like, even Schellenberger, I guess, George Knapp. Like, these guys and gals, they're very, very rare. Like, they're actually reporters. They get paid by news, to do it professionally. And they don't do a story a night. They don't do sound bites. They don't do 30-second stories. They do things that take weeks and months and longer to investigate. They talk to all the parties. They do their paper trails. They do their digging. They do their verifications over and over and over. Right? That's the stuff that we need. Anyway, so Ross Coulthard is one of these guys from Australia, and he was not a UFO guy, and he turned into he found that there was something to this, so he just kept pressing, and here we are. Anyway, he's done excellent work, and the other night, what was it, 3 nights ago? I don't even know now. He just, for the first time, he never said anything like this ever. And in fact, there was a famous incident in 2004 called what we call the TicTac incident. It's one of the famous videos that the New York Times released in 2017 that the Department of Defense, even though they're not classified, they came out, and yet they try to say that it wasn't legal to broadcast them, and yet it was, and whatever. You can see the problem that it embarrassed them because they're really UFOs. 3 of them. And so one of them was called the TicTac. Happened in 2004 on November 14th, to be exact. The recording is November 14th, about 100 miles southwest of San Diego in the Pacific Ocean. It was a carrier strike group, the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier. They called it the TicTac because it was the way it was shaped, and it was white and smooth and shaped like a little pill or a TicTac candy. It had the most, it's basically one of, if not the clearest, most obvious UFO incidents ever recorded, because of all the reasons, because of what it did, how long it was observed, who observed it, which is professional military pilots, and devices, sensors, FLIR, infrared cameras, radars, gun cameras, human eyeballs. It was chased with airplanes. The maneuvers that it did were unexplainable. The speeds were unexplainable. The locations that it went to, which was a secret location that only the pilots knew, was called the Cap Point. It went there itself, which was unexplainable. So all of that, plus the multiple people on the Princeton, which is one of the strike group ships, verifies everything in this. It's all multiple witnesses. There might not be a better UFO case ever. So it makes sense that someone who doesn't want this to come out, that, oh my gosh, this is real, would do everything in their power over years and years and years and years to tamp it down, to convince someone, anybody, especially someone with credibility in the UFO world like Ross Coulthard, to say anything other than it's a real UFO. Please just say anything. Even Lockheed Martin, fine, say that. That's what it seems like. By the way, as if, okay, well, Lockheed Martin, yeah, maybe they built something, they cracked some kind of technology barrier. It was because of Roswell or the Kingman UFO in the 50s or whatever. They cracked the code somehow. They got new kind of physics and propulsion systems and whatever. They figured it out. They built one. Oh my God, they did it. And that's what you saw. Problem with that, it wasn't just one. It was a quote unquote fleet of them, of what they called, AAVs, which is the official Navy term, anomalous aerial vehicles. Multiple objects, appeared at 80,000 plus feet. 80,000 plus feet is in space on their radars, in space, rapidly descended within 1 to 2 seconds to 20,000 feet or lower. That's where they were flying, and exhibited unusual movements, no sonic booms, 10,000 plus miles an hour, etc. They were seeing these on instruments for days before, not by eyeball. But they looked just like what was seen by eyeball on the 14th, where 2 F-18s, 2 pilots, and 2 gunners, or whatever they call the other person in the, I call him the gunner, commander and lieutenant commanders, or whatever. 2 airplanes saw this thing. Yeah, weapons officers. Okay. Dietrich was the lieutenant commander and David Fravor was the commander. You read up about this yourself if you don't know about it. So 4 eyewitnesses observed the TicTac object hovering above a disturbed patch of ocean, moving erratically at high speeds. Fravor attempted to engage, but the object mirrored his movements, then accelerated rapidly, disappearing in seconds. A second FA-18, piloted by Chad Underwood, recorded the object using a forward-looking infrared camera, FLIR camera. The video known as the FLIR 1 shows the TicTac moving rapidly without visible propulsion. Underwood reported radar jamming during the encounter. Witnesses later claimed sonar. So we don't only have all this. So we have the 2 jets engaging it, another jet recording it on their camera, and sonar from a submarine. Sonar from a nearby submarine detected objects moving underwater at speeds exceeding 460 miles an hour. By the way, we have nothing that can do that. No Navy has anything that can do that. Suggesting trans-medium capabilities. Okay. Lockheed Martin. In the follow-up to this, in the underground world of the Pentagon and secret projects, the OSAP group, the Bigelow and what became the folks that we ended up knowing, some of them, Lulu Elizondo's and etc. The UAP task force and all this stuff, they started investigating it. 2008, they created a 18-page report on the capabilities of the TicTac, including speeds 30 to 60 times the speed of sound and hypersonic maneuvers without sonic booms. And it was also at this point where, not coincidentally, to me, the paperwork, the evidence does demonstrate that Bigelow, the man behind this OSAP program, the billionaire behind it, who funded all this stuff and the studies and the scientists and all this, the Department of Defense gave the contract to study all this stuff. He wanted to acquire from Lockheed, and apparently they were fine with it. Lockheed had an anomalous vehicle in their possession for a long time. Allegedly, this is from the 1950s. They had something that they couldn't crack, or they couldn't figure out. They couldn't reverse engineer it. They wanted to get rid of it because they didn't want this stain anymore. They didn't want to be the secret anymore. They didn't want to be locked out of stuff, or be locked down and be under this stupid secrecy. They're done with this. They're done. They want to, what they call, divest themselves of it. So they were willing to get rid of it to this Bigelow group, the Bass group, the OSAP group. Apparently, the CIA, or part of it, said no. So how is it possible, other than all that stuff, other than the improbability of all those pieces of evidence, to say that somehow a modern human company in 2004, 21 years ago, already cracked physics completely, broke all the laws, made a perfect vehicle, not only a perfect vehicle, but many perfect vehicles underwater in space, in the sky, can literally run circles around our best jets, can evade all our submarines, aircraft carrier, you name it. They are blowing by everything we've ever built for billions of dollars. It's a joke now because Lockheed Martin has all this stuff. Consider how stupid that sounds and how outrageous it is to suggest it. But okay. But how is it then that 4 years later, Lockheed is trying to get rid of the stuff that they can't break to a Defense Department contractor so they can get rid of it? Which is it? Did they break it in 2004? Probably way before 2004. Probably a long time before that. If hypothetically, if they were to do such a thing, even just one TicTac, let's just be ridiculous and not fit the facts of the case at all. As if this was the only time a TicTac craft has ever been sighted in the world, which it has not. That's not true either. Way before this, there have been TicTacs. But fine, say this is the only time, and there was only one, which is also not true. And Lockheed made it. No evidence of that. When did they make it? They didn't make it in 2004. If they were already deploying it in front of U.S. Navy carrier groups, battle groups, they must have perfected it. I mean, you know how things get made, defense stuff like weapon systems and airplanes and stuff. You go through iterations of many versions, and you have to test them, and you have to go to testing grounds. We have literally open areas of miles and miles of desert in Nevada, the Nevada test grounds. That's all it is for missiles and planes and secret projects to fly around where no one can see them and test it out, see if they'll blow up or see if they work. And you can do that over the ocean. You can do that, but you have to, reserve the space. But they did not do that because they had the U.S. Navy there. That doesn't happen. You don't have a Navy exercise with an aircraft, a whole battle group, and a contractor doing a mission. It wasn't just a test. They weren't just flying it. They were underwater. They were retrieving something. There were things under the water. There were things above the water. There were things in space. This is not an exercise or a training mission. Anyway, when did they invent it? Because it was way before 2004. If hypothetically that was theirs. When? Show me the money. Show me the date. Show me the paper trail. Show me the pictures. Show me the testimony. Show me any evidence. There's zero. There's nothing. But they've had to, you would think it would have been maybe decades before that. Years, at least years. Decade, at least the 90s at minimum. There would have to be the TicTacs in the 80s, probably, and even the 70s, flying around somewhere, doing that stuff. And it's all Lockheed. Right. And failing, okay, because we apparently reverse engineered it. So, we never do things right the first time. And we have boondoggles constantly. Billions of dollars wasted constantly. How much, if you think billions of dollars is needed to create a regular plane, how much do you think this would cost? Or you think Lockheed Martin just has it in a safe? Where do you think they get the money from to build these planes? They have contracts with the taxpayer, your Department of Defense, your government, which is me and you. Our tax money is how Lockheed Martin would make the TicTac. They don't have it in the vault, right? So none of this makes sense. None of it. And it just goes to the main point, which is, to me, it's very clear this is the same old game that is being, or the wool being pulled over your eyes again, which is when you get too close to the truth of the matter, which is that it's not us, not modern man. I want to stress the word modern. Not modern man stuff. All bets are off. You've got to pull out all the stops, do whatever you have to do, discredit, make up stories, make up realistic stories as much as you can, whatever you have to do to get it out there, whoever you need to do or dupe or to tell or to threaten or whatever, do it. And great, hey man, if it takes a couple years, so be it. And if we can just stall, okay, just keep stalling. And if you can get one of the most highly received, you can't get to George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, which apparently they did try, and they called it out big time. Like, what was it? 2 years ago, maybe it was a year ago. I don't know, a year or two ago. Corbell came out. They did a podcast about it. They're like, yeah, we had a spook CIA type reach out and try to convince us to, and David Fravor directly, they reached out to the pilot, the guy who saw and engaged and chased after the TicTac. They tried to convince him that it was Lockheed, and he said, no, it's not. He knows it wasn't. The pilot knows it wasn't. And Jeremy Corbell says, no, it wasn't. I know it wasn't. They're just trying to advance this false story. So we stopped looking. And apparently Ross Coulthart either got convinced by the same operation, or was what else? Threatened into it? He either got tricked into it or was threatened into it, because it don't make no sense otherwise. Thank you, Madam Rex. Yes, still feisty over here. Still feisty. It makes me extra feisty when my tax dollars are being used in this effort, and one way or another they're either building secret stuff or they're being unconstitutionally hid from Congress, or they're being used to lie to the public to create cover stories, all of which is illegal. They're trying to mess with our minds, Madam Rex says. And it again, other than immoral, unconstitutional, illegal, like go to prison illegal. It's on the books. It's on the books. You're violating laws by running operations that are lying to your population. But it's too important. They don't care. Too big to fail. Remember that? Enron? Bonser says it's wicked. It is wicked. It's evil. That's the only word left. Not understandable. It's wicked. It's evil. Enron, too big, or the banks. The bank failures, right? 2008 or whatever, the financial crisis, right? Too big to fail. Too big to fail. This secret is too big to fail. We must keep it going. President's scared poopless about it, apparently. He's a big baby. Either he knows and he's scared, or he can't be trusted with the info, so they never told him at all. One of those is true. What happened to Ross? Well, like we talked about offline, Madam Rex, and I'm gonna wrap it up here, you guys. I got some other appointments today. But in this latest podcast with Bryce Zabel, his partner on the Need to Know podcast thing. Bryce Zabel was shocked like everyone else. He had no idea Ross was going to say this about the TicTac, and was on the heels of something pretty darn bad leading up to it. I mean, shocking in its implausibility, which is Chinese responsibility for the mystery drones. Now, he didn't go all the way to saying all the mystery drones were Chinese, but he has it on good authority that, they were involved or something. Like, what? Again, no evidence presented. There's been zero evidence this whole time since November. And it wasn't where New Jersey. Why are the Chinese threatening England, by the way? Because it happened there. What are they doing in other parts of America? Okay, if it's just the West Coast, that's one. Okay, that's one piece of thing you got to weigh. But on the East Coast, not one thing. You're not worried about one of them falling. One of them's going to be brought down. Where are they going? Where are they coming from? Where are they going to? That is the not only with the TicTac, but the mystery drones. Where did they come from? Where are they going? It would be super easy, super duper easy. Do you know how many satellites America has? Do you know how many spying capabilities we have? Do you know we have literally whole departments of the government like the National Reconnaissance Office and other huge mega multi-billion-dollar agencies to watch everything that's happening in the earth. There is no possibility that you can not know where a drone goes. None. Zero. So either everyone is lying, even those who are opposed to each other, Republicans, Democrats, local governments, federal government, FBI, dude on the street police force, all those who have no love for each other and couldn't care less about getting along. They don't communicate about anything. They don't care. The Republicans, Democrats want each other out of power. The feds and the locals want to fight all day long, but apparently on this, they're totally agreed to lie together, right? That they don't know where they're going, even though they really do know. They know where they came from. They just won't say. They came from a secret Chinese submarine in the Atlantic. Yeah, that's it. Come on. This is the same idiocy as before it was China, it was Iran. Remember? Iran had a secret submarine full of drones in the Atlantic just hiding out. Sure, they did. Obviously, that was a lie. And the Chinese thing is a lie, too. Use your brains, people. You don't even need that much brain. You don't need hardly any brain. That's the thing about common sense. It's only a teeny tiny part of your brain. Now Madam Rex is ratcheting up her spiciness here. Feistiness. You can't make statements like that without providing ample evidence. I agree. Quote, the drones are from China. The TicTac is ours. Completely ridiculous. You can't make you're accusing a foreign government of acts of war. Drones are used every day from Russia to kill Ukrainians. Drones were fired from Iran by the hundreds to kill Israelis. Why are we not worried about drones over our skies? Those are acts of war. Every one of those drones, quote unquote, could have bombs on them, could have explosives, could at least have spying capabilities, and they're flying over private homes in addition to nuclear facilities and secret, F-22 stealth fighter bases and a nuclear power plant right next to my house, by the way. You don't know what's on them. How could you say there's no big deal? And you don't know where they're going? Anyway, you're accusing a government of creating an act of war and not saying, how do you know that? And you're saying that TicTac is not only American, but a particular company of America who is not having a great time right now. Lockheed Martin, if you're into this type of stuff, you can see they're losing contracts to other aerospace companies for regular old jets. They're not even getting the contracts they want for standard stuff. Forget TicTacs. Madam Rex says lies without evidence. Ross completely switching all his past statements. No explanation. It is concerning, and that's why you have to suspect something extreme is going on. That's what I believe. I personally think you have to suspect something more extreme has happened, like a severe threatening of him personally, his family, or some type of significant, mental operation, psychological operations happening. And you're right, it is worthless, even if it's true, Madam Rex, right? Back me up on this. Even if it's true somehow, even if it's the truth, you can't say that and just say, I told you so, and move on. It doesn't mean anything. Even if you're 100% right, back it up. It's too important. It doesn't mean squat if you don't provide proof. It would be easy. Apparently it's easy. He said, what was his term? Something like incontrovertible, or like it's like convinced. Like somebody will tell me. Like there's no doubt. Where usually he's 100%, as you said, Madam Rex. There's no. Usually he's the complete opposite. The complete opposite. Even in that. Recently, he would say, I never say I know anything. He'll never say that. He'll even like, I believe this and that. Like that takes a certain burden of proof. But to say I know something is really like you got to no. You got to have all the receipts. Where's the receipts? Somebody told you? Okay. Again, doesn't mean they're wrong. But what else do you got besides somebody told you? Where's your pictures? Where's your paper trail? Where's your money? Where's your testimony? Where's your sworn affidavit? Where's your, I don't know, anything? And this is huge. Again, this is the reason why it's so big is because it's a blatantly obvious UFO case. I mean, you can't explain it away by Lockheed. You can't. And now one of the most trusted voices investigating real investigation types all of a sudden is completely flipped. I don't want to say flipped, but like all of a sudden is completely convinced. It never has been before, but now is that it's some crazy explanation. So something definitely has gone wrong. Yeah. All right. That means maybe we're close to the finish line as far as getting disclosure about this. Okay, I got to wrap this up, guys. Like I said, I have another appointment. I'll address the comments that are here, and then we'll go. Maybe it's very scary, out of their control, but to keep us in the dark is wrong. I hope someone with some cojones spills the beans. That's probably part of it. To at least to somebody, it is scary and out of their control. That is to the military mind, being out of control or being unable to defend your country or whatever is the worst case scenario, and that very well might be what we're talking about. The unidentified drones, TicTacs, are extremely interested in the military capabilities of the world powers. I wonder why. That's a fair question, Mogul. What does your gut instinct tell you regarding these UAPs/TicTacs? Well, I think they could be vehicles for angels or principalities or heavenly beings. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't correct you if I don't know. I don't know that you're wrong, but I really would recommend that you go through the course, and you all who have the same types of thoughts, please consider taking the course called Angels, Demons, and UFOs. It's a straight Bible study. I talk very straightly about principalities, angels, heavenly beings. They don't need vehicles. There's different types. They may be different functions. They may be autonomous, not vehicles for beings, but machines without occupants, like the TicTac. It may have no occupants at all. Spheres like the silver, the metallic spheres that are seen, like the one I saw, very likely did not have an occupant. All right, it may be part of an AI system. And that's, okay, well, that's easier to process. I get that. Like, oh, well, then it's modern people. No, doesn't mean that. But it is more understandable, perhaps, or more acceptable to think of it as just a machine doing a pre-programmed or remotely controlled machine. We understand that because we do drones now. So maybe it's like that, only not us. Okay. All right, my friends. I think we're good for now. Thanks for participating, all of y'all. Please do share this on X and YouTube. It would be a huge help. Until next time, this has been Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. And if you're watching this on the blog of the wingsoftheeagle.com site, you will see links to the course that I mentioned, Angels, Demons, and UFOs, as well as the short books that we put together called The Hypothesis, which will explain exactly what my thoughts are, and with Madam Rex's extreme amount of help, on what we believe is behind the UFO phenomenon, and no, it's not aliens, and what if it's not demons either, as well as a link to a short book on possible prophecy in the nation of Iran and these weapons from this UFO technology soon to come upon the world. All right, friends, till next time, that's it. Pastor Manti is me. See you next time. Bye.